then I will be sharing my screen here. All right, well, good morning and welcome to Introduction to Google Classroom. And again, I do realize that you come to this workshop with different background knowledge, with some of you using Google Classroom already and some of you haven't. If you don't mind, if you have time to put in chat, you can introduce yourself, what you teach, and if you've started to use Google Classroom yet, or if you used it any throughout this last year with your students. But you do have access to the slide deck here during the presentation, so feel free to jump ahead and go at your own speed. I know we've got a smaller class today, so that's nice. Feel free at any time, if I'm showing something, you can put questions in chat, but if anybody sees that the same people are asking the same question, if someone would like to unmute themselves and kind of help me moderate the chat, that would be great, because again, my chat is on my other screen and I don't always get to see that, you know, right away. So feel free to help out with that. And I do want to show you that if you did take the link from the chat room, if you go to your Google account and just create a new tab up here, hit the plus sign to create a new tab, and paste this link in there. Could you type it? You could. If you're on another device and need to type it, that's fine. That's why I created this bit.ly link for you, so it's a little bit easier than that whole long link that Google creates for you for the slide deck, that you can type this in or just copy and paste it. And when you do so, then if you want access to this later after today's workshop, you can have access to it later, and I'm going to show you how you can save it to your drive to get access to it later. So right here, up here on this Add Shortcut to Drive, anytime in the Google, in the G Suite apps, anytime you see this triangle with the plus sign, that means you can add it to your shortcut drive. So feel free right now to go ahead and click on that. And when you click on that, then you can add it directly to your drive, add shortcut here. So then you'll have access to it later. If you want, if you're an organized person, I can click on my drive, and what I can do is I can put it in a folder that I have in my drive already. So if I already have a folder called Workshops or Google Workshops, I can put that in there. If I don't have the folder in here yet, I can create it from here. I can just click on this folder icon right here with the plus sign and put in a name that I want this folder to be called, and then hit the check mark and then add the shortcut here. So think of your Google Drive as your file cabinet, and within that file cabinet you have all of these folders. You can have folders within folders, and then you can have multiple files in those folders. So you can, you know, if you're an organized person and wants to create the folder right from the slide deck that you are saving to your drive, you can do that. Now, some of you might hear me refer to this as a slide deck. So, you know, many of you are familiar with Microsoft PowerPoint. Google Slides is very similar to Microsoft PowerPoint, except it was created by Google. And then you might hear me call this the slide deck. A slide deck basically is Google Slides, and it's just a bunch of these, it's the file that we call the slide deck, a bunch of slides within this file. So again, I don't mean to confuse anyone, it's just some terminology people use within the G Suite apps. So I could add it to my shortcut drive there. I could also, if you come up here, so in the Omnibox where I put in the bit.ly link here, if I come here and click on the star, I can bookmark it. And so I could bookmark this, I could put it to my bookmark bar. And as you can see, when I put it there, it shows up there. You might ask, where's my bookmark bar? It's not, I saved it, it's got the blue star, but it's not showing there. If I come over here to the right of my Chrome profile, I have 3 dots here. Those 3 dots gives me another menu. If I go down here to bookmarks and then come over here to show bookmark bar, that is how I can access my bookmark bar. Now, you know, I just put this on my bookmark bar, but let's say I wanted to put it in a folder. I could. So you can even have your bookmarks, you know, organized in folders. So if I wanted to put it in my Google folder, I could put it there instead of my bookmark bar. So again, it's how you want to organize your material and how you interact with files here via Google Chrome. So again, anytime you see the 3 dots, know that you can click on those and there's a hidden menu. And so here's the bookmarks and then the bookmark bar. At any time, if I want to delete anything, I just right click on this and I can hit delete and it goes away off of my bookmark bar. So as you can see, you can delete a bunch of things. But so those are 2 different ways you can save the slide deck for you to access later if you so choose. Here on slide 1, I want to talk to you about the Learning Technology Center. If you want to learn more about that, you can click here. And then I've also created hyperlinks so that you can access other information out there. So I don't know if you've seen other teachers create these virtual classrooms. All you have to do is, you know, I've inserted different pictures here, and then you can create hyperlinks. I could create hyperlinks right with the image. I mainly just hyperlinked my words there. So Learning Technology Center, I hyperlinked it to the website. The YouTube channel, I hyperlinked it to my YouTube channel so you can access the recordings there as well. Today for the sign-in, if you could go to slide number 2 and click on the sign-in sheet. And what the sign-in sheet is, it is just this Google form. If you could fill this out as well. And it should look like this. If you haven't created or filled out a Google form before, just anywhere that there's an asterisk, that is required for you to then submit your registration here. Another thing here, so when I'm sharing my screen, if it's full screen on your screen, so if you want to access that sign-in sheet right now, right here at the top, your screen will look different than mine, but you should have view options. And if you click on that down arrow to the right of that little bar, that's where you can minimize it to maybe 50% if you want, and then have another tab to the left or right of this so you can see my screen, but then also interact with the apps and the slide deck on your own screen. If you don't have that, you might also have in the upper right-hand corner over here, exit full screen or enter full screen. If you click on that icon, it's like almost like a little square. Click on that, that will allow you to exit or enter full screen as well. All right, I'm getting some feedback here. Okay, there we go. Also here on slide 2, here's the bit.ly link. If you want to see, access it from here as well, once you get into the slide deck, you can. And then I have an evaluation for you to fill out at the end as well. So I have this here on slide 2, and then I also have it at the end. So a little bit about me. My name is Lisa Schwartz. I did teach for 19 years in the Quincy Public School District, and I taught various subjects 6th through 9th grade. Majority of my time I did teach computers and computer science, and my background was in Microsoft. That's what we had, that's what the students had. And the last few years with teaching at Quincy Public Schools, I incorporated Google. I thought, oh, let's learn about this, see how we can better organize and disseminate information with the students. And so I had started to learn Google Classroom and Google Docs with the students. Let me tell you, I did make mistakes. I was kind of hesitant in the beginning to try it, but I thought, what do I have to lose? I let the kids know I'm learning with them, and we went on the journey together. They were very forgiving. Hopefully you'll ask some questions today, and I might not know all of the answers, but then you'll be able to see my learning process of trying to find out those answers. Who knows, you may even see me asking my own questions and not knowing the answers to them either. But I think that's good for the students to see as well, that, oh, the teacher's learning, the teacher doesn't know everything. But from the education setting, many teachers, including myself, I always thought I needed to know everything. And so the last few years I did get comfortable not knowing everything, learning with the kids, and I still don't know everything. So if you do have some nerves or anxiety about switching over from Microsoft to Google, just know you're on this journey with many other teachers and students as well, and that the more you interact and use these applications, it does get easier. So one thing I liked about Google back in the classroom is that we were still a Microsoft school, but I was able to use some of the Google, but I didn't have to wait 3 to 5 years to get new updates. Updates with Google can be pushed out. That some people like that, some people don't. But again, you don't have to wait years until your school district would purchase the new license. And they didn't have to shell out a lot of money for that either. So currently what I am doing here then, I'm working with the Learning Technology Center. I'm currently my second year in, and here in this green area, I work with 10 ROEs and the school districts within those ROEs. So during this time of remote learning, I've had over 1,000 educators attend trainings here and help them on their journey with technology in the classroom. If you go over here, you can see my email. Feel free to email me if you have questions after the fact. And, especially you might think, will you remember everything from today? Maybe some of you will. But if you don't, then, you can go back to the slide deck. You can email me or think, oh, yeah, that lady, I can't even remember her name, but yeah, she showed us this. And it might sink in then. It's when you need to know it is when you'll need to access it. So here's the Learning Technology Center if you want to learn more about that. And then here on slide 5, here's some other resources that you can have available. So if you're looking that you're needing more professional development hours, check out our events page to see other workshops that we're offering throughout the summer. And then we also have some online learning that's free that you can get PD hours for as well. So again, lots of other choices out there. So what we will do then, I'm going to go over the overview of Google, and then we'll jump into Google Classroom. Here on slide 7, I don't know if in any of your other workshops this week, any of the other presenters talked to you about anytime you are in opening up any applications, Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Forms, you want to make sure you're in the Google Chrome web browser. You might ask, why is that important? The reason behind that is that they play nicely together. They're, by the same company who is creating the applications that created the Chrome web browser. So they talk nicely together. What do I mean by that? I had a teacher who was using Google Docs with a student using the voice typing tool. So if you have a student who doesn't type very well, they, just like with the text messaging, you can say your text message. Same thing with Google Docs. You can talk and whatever you say will be typed into your Google Docs. Well, it wasn't working at all. So I told her first thing to check to see which web browser she was in. And then she goes, sure enough, she was opening up Google Docs in the Safari web browser. So some of these features in these applications don't work in other web browsers. This may not make any sense to you right now. Hopefully you can file that in the back of your mind that, later on next school year when you're working with students, if they can't get some of the features to work, check to see if you're in the Google Chrome web browser. Another thing here I will show you is right up here in the right-hand corner, I've got my Chrome profile. This is my work account. And then I have my Google accounts here. So under my Chrome profile, I can add other accounts here. I will tell you, I will advise you not to do this. You can see my other accounts here and I have them signed out. Here's a result from the web. Oh, my phone just picked up my voice. My phone's listening to me, okay. So my suggestion is to keep signed out of the Google accounts here. What I've been noticing with this time of remote learning that some of the teachers out there may be sharing devices with their own kids at home, and they have Google accounts and they may be in one of their, they may be saying, oh, I saved your slide deck to my account, and they can't find it. Well, come to find out, they had their child logged in as well, and it's saved to their child's account. So just be aware of this. So what do? I come up here to the picture of my Chrome profile, and I add my people here. So I've got Blake, a student here for an example. I've got my personal account, and then I have some other Google accounts here as well. So again, perfect example, yesterday I had a teacher working with her signing up for the Google exam. She's like, I signed up for it on my personal account because that's what everyone says to do, and don't use my work account, and it's not letting me log in. Well, sure enough, she was logged in to both her personal account and her work account, and it had switched over to her work account. Again, this may be confusing to you. Don't panic if it is. Whether it happens to you this summer, next year, you'll think back, what was I supposed to do with that? I've got a couple different links in here. You could probably Google it as well about learning how to manage your Google accounts and Chrome profile. So throughout this training, you'll see me maybe switching back and forth. Here, this is my personal account. How do I know the picture is the same? Could I add other accounts here? I could, but what might happen then with this account, so here's my Chrome profile here. I've got this here opening up with my CUSD1 account, and if I hit OK, then it'll save. I would think that it would save to this account. So if I go to add to shortcut drive and I add to drive, here it is saving to that account, but it can get confusing. Okay, which account am I saving to? And sometimes it may revert back to my personal account. So again, I try to just keep it the same person in my Chrome profile and my Google account, and I try to then just stay signed out. For this workshop presentation, I do kind of try to keep this here to show you. So again, if that confuses you, hopefully you'll have this to go back to look at when it does, when you need to know it. So Google's mission. Why is Google allowing us to use all of these apps for free? Again, they are just trying to organize, as you can see here on slide 8, the world's information, and just make it accessible to everyone. So we do have access to that. And then I don't know if, with the G Suite for Education, collaboration. I don't know if any of you during this time of remote learning, you've been able to collaborate with your peers and maybe with your own students even, using some of the G Suite apps for education. Here on slide 10 and 11, I have some information about different apps out there in the G Suite for Education. How do I know what apps are available to me? All I have to do is come up here to the plus sign. And this goes to my Google home page here. I've got my shortcuts here. And then I can go to access my Gmail from here, access images, or do you see this waffle here, these 9 dots? If you click on that, here's all of the apps that are available. Now, you may not have all of the apps available to you that I have to me. This will depend on Jim and the tech department at District 87 and what they decide to give you access to. And I don't know if anybody attended Jim and Diane's session on Wednesday about the SOPA laws, the Student Online Privacy Protection Act. That's just, kind of good to know, to keep in the back of your mind as well. But with these apps right here, this is where I can access all of the apps if I want to. So let's say you know, Google Meet. I've been using a lot with my students. I can hold down, you know, click on the icon and hold it down, and I can move these apps around over here. So again, I know some districts aren't using Google Meet, so that might not be available to you, that you might be using a different video conferencing during this time of remote learning. But just know that should be over here. If you don't have access, then on the back end, Jim and the tech department would have to turn that on if they wanted you to have that. So I could go to Classroom here. I could type in up here in the Omnibox, Classroom, and as soon as I typed in the C, it goes classroom.google.com. If I had it here in my shortcuts, I could go there. I could even bookmark it up here and put it on my bookmarks. It's, again, multiple ways to do the same thing. That might drive some of you nuts that there's all these different ways, but again, it allows for differentiation, and it allows for the differences of how our brains operate and think. So right here is Google Classroom. Now you'll see in the slide deck, I'm not in the presentation mode because I'm not going to talk to you right from the slide deck this whole time. I'm going to switch over to Google Classroom here and talk to you. Here's what I hope to cover today. Since we are a smaller group, if we want to have more questions answered or asked, feel free to do that as well. Again, the differentiation between the 16 people here that's with us today, I want this to meet your needs. So to start off here with, how does Google Classroom work? So basically, it's a place where you can post and share and be organized when you're giving your students assignments, especially during this time of remote learning. So everything can be housed in Google Classroom. So if I want a document or I want a video for the kids to watch, I can put that all in Google Classroom instead of sending them links through email or posting them on a Google Doc. I can also, what Google Classroom helped me with when I started to try it out with my students is, you know, I would always, my background is, you know, mainly middle school, 6th through 9th grade, and the kids would come in the next day and say, oh, Mrs. Schwartz, I missed yesterday. Did I miss anything? And I'm like, no, we didn't do anything at all while you were gone. Being a little sarcastic there. And, you know, they would say, oh yeah, I'm sure, you know, sure you did something. But we didn't have to wait for that anymore. If they had access to a device and the internet, they could log on throughout the day and see what the assignment was. They could see what we were doing in class, and they could go ahead and work on it. So that's the biggest reason I wanted to learn about Google Classroom, because I know myself as a teacher, I had trouble keeping the students up to date and being organized for the students who were absent. The other thing with Google Classroom, on the back end of it, it also integrates with Google Drive, and it creates a calendar within the Google app. So I will go over that as well. What's nice about this is when you assign students work, it automatically creates a file naming convention for them. So again, I will show you that today, but it will put their name on their paper, and it will put the title of the assignment on their paper. So again, it helps with organization, and the kids can find it fairly easy. But again, just like you're learning about Google Classroom, you'll need to take time to teach the students about the Google Classroom and how you organize it, because how you organize it and how another teacher organizes it, it might not be the same way, so that students might be a little confused of where to look for when you post new assignments. So this talks about the stream. I'm going to switch over to Classroom and show you about the stream. But again, do you have to watch? You don't. Feel free, if you like looking at the slides and learning from that and doing it yourself, you've got that option. And that's, you know, if we were even in person, I would suggest this. That's not being rude to me. That's just letting me know you learn differently. And, you know, that's my way of trying to differentiate, whether it's here remote learning and a workshop with teachers or even with students. So again, how did I get to Classroom? I just came up here and created a new tab, and then you can go over here to the waffle or type in classroom.google.com. So if you just type it in up here, you can do that with any of the apps in the G Suite apps for education, whether it's Calendar, Gmail, Docs, Sheets, Forms, any of the apps out there, you can do that with. So as you can see here, I've got 8 different classes up here in my classroom. On one classroom, it shows what's due today and what's due Monday. Now you might ask, well, how do I even add a class or even add students? I know on the back end, there was talk, and feel free if someone knows for sure that, I'm pretty for sure that Jim and the tech department's going to roster your classes for you. So they will create the class for you and put your students in there. But if for some reason a student's not there, or you want another class, all you have to do is come up here to the plus sign, and you can create a class here or join a class. So just to create a class, all I have to do is hit create a class. The only thing that's required to create the class is a name. Whatever I decide to put the name, I can always change it later. So let's say I just put the name and I don't fill this out. If later on I want to add things, I can. For a student to join a class, all they have to do is come up here, hit the plus sign, and hit join class, and then they put the code in. Well, where do they get the code? If you click right here on your class, so for this class, the differentiation workshop right here, the code is right there. So I can enlarge it, and I can even put it full screen as well if I would like to, for the kids to see. How I normally worked it, before the schools could roster the classes for you and the students had to join like this, that I would print out the code of all my classes. I would put a kid in charge of helping get new students into Google Classroom. So again, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. So right here, when I go into Google Classroom, the home page is the stream. And as you can see, I've got this picture here. If you don't like that theme, or you want to upload your own photo, you can come over here and select a different theme that's out there. You can even upload your own photo. And then I think there's ways, I've never done it, but you know, if you've got time on your hands and you want to create your own theme to include in here, there's directions out there on the web that you can do that as well. The other thing here on Stream, or within any of the apps, anytime, if you don't get anything else from this workshop today, I hope you will remember this. Anytime you see the gear, the 3 dots, or these 3 lines, that means there's another menu. It's kind of hidden. You just have to click on those and another menu will pop open. So the gear, 3 dots, and the 3 lines. Sometimes you hear people call these 3 lines the hamburger. Sometimes you hear people call the 3 dots the snowman. I usually just call them the 3 dots. Again, you'll hear different people calling them different things. So here's the stream. This is the teacher view of it. Here's what's upcoming, and here's what the teacher has posted. Now, how I've got my stream is I've got notifications showing up here for the students and myself. So anytime I create a new assignment, it'll show up here. I didn't create that myself. On the back end, Google Classroom has it programmed. Anytime I have posting a new assignment, it will show up here on Stream. Another thing on Stream, if I wanted to just share something with the class, I could put it here. So this isn't an assignment. This is just for the students you're sharing something with them, whether it's a message or just a video or something that you want them to watch. So right here, the default is the differentiation workshop because that's the one I'm in. But if I want to add this to any other classroom, I can. So if I wanted to add this to my Spanish classroom, I can, and then I can, then it'll go out to all of my students. If I just add it to my differentiation workshop, do you see here? I can access students. So if I know that I don't want Blake to have this on his stream, whether he has an IEP or a 504 plan, then I could still give him the same assignment, but the modified version. Or I'm sorry, not an assignment, but message here. So I can decide what students I want to receive this message that I'm sharing on stream. So if I come down here to add, I can add things from my Google Drive, link, file, or YouTube. I usually didn't post anything in stream so that the kids didn't get confused about assignments and messages here. So again, these messages here, these show it's an assignment with this clipboard. It shows that the teacher posted a question here as well. And at any time, if I want to, I can go and edit this. I can move it to the top, or I could copy the link. I'm going to scroll down here to show you. So all of these things you just saw here, Google on the back end posted this stuff here to my stream. It's the notifications. Right here, I've got, I wanted to show you that, yeah, you can just post a video. I put watch this video and put a video in here. So again, if I wanted to, I could go here and edit. And I can put, if I needed to edit what students that I've sent it to, I can change that here as well. It's just an announcement, and I added a video. I just said, hey, watch this video. Again, I could add other things to this announcement if I wanted to. If not, I can just add one video and it shows up here. I can also, right here, if you see, I can just put a message here. I said, have a great day. Students could reply back to me if I wanted to. I could also have students post here if I wanted them to do that. If I keep scrolling down here, you'll see that here Blake posted something here. Another student could post back to him if someone wanted to. If you look down here, student Lisa posted, and then Blake responded to that post. So where do we change all of this? If I go up here to the gear, I've got settings right here. And again, here's where I can change things. If I don't like the name, the class description, or I could add things. Here's where I can change the class code. If for some reason, if you have a class code that you're not for sure, if it's an L or an I or 1, right here hitting that drop down arrow, you can reset your class code. You can even disable it. So if you don't want other kids to join anymore, you could disable it so no one could join your class anymore. Again, here I can display the code, or I could even copy the code if I want to send it through an email to a student. But what I was talking about was in the stream. So here in the stream, students can post and comment. Again, with middle school students, I would leave that on in the beginning, try to do digital citizenship and talk about that, and talk about how Big Brother's always watching, and anything you post here, everyone can see. And usually they thought it was fun to post hello and, you know, different quirky things in the beginning. I let them, you know, do that for a day or two. And then after that, I wanted them to just post if they had questions or comments about assignments, or to have conversations with other students so that they didn't always have to wait for me to ask me a question or to talk with other students. So I did students can post and comment. Right here, I've got students can only comment. So even after I see that I've tried to teach them about what they're posting and students are posting things that's, you know, just a bunch of gibberish, or I would get, you know, a lot of kids just liking to fill up the stream, then I could change it to students can only comment. And if that still didn't work, I could put only teachers can post or comment. So another workaround, so again, you can change this in the stream. So if you come here, so Google also allows you to mute a student. So if you see that majority of the students are doing fine, having conversations on the stream that are relevant to your class, then keep it there. If not, and you want to turn it off for all students, you can, like I just showed you in the gear. But let's say Blake is the student who just won't listen to you, won't follow directions, and he's just posting a bunch of gibberish. so where Blake has posted, what I can do, come to the three dots, and I can delete, you can delete anything a kid says out there, and I had to do that a lot in the beginning, but then it was hard to manage. So I would, if I saw that Blake was posting a bunch of gibberish again, I could just mute him, and then that would not, he would not have access to be able to post and comment and stream. So you can just do that for one student instead of punishing the whole class. And I like that. And that's one thing with Google. They do, you know, we're the ones using Google Classroom a lot, and they may not be thinking of something until they hear back from us. So they do listen to us. If you want to see something changed in one of the apps, send them an email. Have multiple teachers send them the same email, and then maybe you'll see that change sooner than later. Do they change everything based off of what we're asking? They don't, but I've seen a lot of changes over the years with Google Classroom. And Google Classroom has been around at least 5 years. It's either 5 or 6. So I don't know if it's now 6 years, if this is coming up on the 6th year it's been out. So if I go back up here to my gear, so I talked about the stream, how you could change who can comment on the stream, and then the classwork on the stream. So right now I have Google showing the condensed notifications on the stream. If I want them to show attachments and details, I could have that. I could also have them hide the notification. So I'll show you what an attachment and detail looks like. Anytime you make changes in the classroom settings, you have to save it. So if I come back here to my stream, I don't know if you notice how my stream looks different now. I've got the whole entire assignment posted there. Instead of just the condensed notification, the kids can see all of the assignment. They can see this on classwork, so that's why I usually do the condensed notification, because I don't want them to necessarily go to stream to go to the assignment. I want them to go to the classwork tab, and I haven't talked about that yet. But so I can have them, this is the full-blown assignment here if I want. If I go back to the gear, if I don't want the attachments and details shown, again, I can put condensed notifications, or I can even hide notifications altogether. And then the stream, then I have it for just a conversation or where I post just announcements. So the stream is where you can post announcements. You can add files here if you want. It's not tied to a grade. It's just some, FYI or things that you want the kids to view. If I want it for sure to view in an assignment, I would put this video in an assignment instead of here in the stream. So also in the stream, you can see, the conversations here. So you can even put links here if you would like. So that's mainly for the stream. Again, depends on how you've set it up and how you've controlled it in your settings. You might have to convey to the students your thinking and behind how you organized your stream. They may not realize that, hey, the stream for different teachers may look different based on the settings that they've saved. Again, here's a place where they can see upcoming work in this classroom and this classroom only. I do want to show you this here with Google Meet. I think you mainly use Zoom, or you use Zoom to meet with your students this past couple months for the remote learning. If your district does push out Meets, the big thing with Meets back in March when we started this remote learning was kids were able to join a Meet before the teacher. So then what some teachers did, they would create the link for the Meet and then post it here in the announcement about 10 minutes before the class. Well, if you know that you're going to meet with your class at 10 a.m. every day, then, or certain days of the week, whatever it may be, all you have to do is come up here and click on this link. So you might ask, if I'm the student, would it allow me to go to this link before the teacher? So let me show you the student view here. So I'll go to Blake. And this is what people have asked here as well, that could we see a student view? Google doesn't allow you to add, a dummy student there into your account. With the LTC, I was able to get a student account to show for these workshops. So this is Blake's student account, and I'll go to Classroom here. How did I get around that in the classroom? I would ask the students, okay, I put this out, can I see what it looks like on your screen? I know during this time of remote learning, what some teachers are doing is they'll do, a private Zoom meeting with a student or a parent. In your case, probably just a student, and have the student share their screen so you could see it. I know it's a little bit extra work for right now. Another workaround from that is that you could have other teachers join your class as a student in District 87, or you can have other teachers join as a collaborator. But if you kind of want to see the interaction of what it's like to be a student in another teacher's classroom, join their classroom as a student so you can see that. And I'll show you here in a minute how to join that classroom. But so again, this is Blake, and here's the stream right now because I took away the hide the notification. So all he sees, any announcements I posted there, he sees what's upcoming, and then any conversations here. So if Blake goes into the Google Meet right now, let's say he's planned on talking with another student from the class and they've worked out to go to the Google Meet. It won't allow them to go to the Google Meet. This is what the message comes up. So Google did change that here in April so that kids can't get in the Google Meet without the teacher. Now, once the teacher gets into the Google Meet, so here's the teacher view, and the teacher's going into the Google Meet. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my microphone here, and I'll hit join now. And then, you can add people from here, but that's too much work. Again, technology is supposed to make your life easier. And hopefully the more you use it, it will become easier. You may not think that right now, but hopefully that will change. So now I'm switching over to the student view. If Blake wants to go join, it's, let's say they're supposed to meet at a certain time, he'll go and join. Usually, I don't know if you found this with your high school students, maybe you're freshmen compared to the seniors, but maybe they wanted to meet and, have a conversation with some of their other students or classmates, and you might, get on 10 minutes before the actual meeting time. So then for Blake, it's showing Lisa's in the call, his teacher's in the call, so he can join now. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mute it. Okay. So then he can join now. Did you see before it didn't let him join because the teacher wasn't in there? So this is what the student sees. He can come up here to see who's in it. And right now it's just pulling from my other monitor here, the camera from there. Now, let's say you've got about 10 students in here, you're done, and you leave the meet. Well, let me go and show you then here in the Google Meet. I'll leave the meet as the teacher in just a second, but as you can see, I can unmute myself. I've got where I can present my screen. I can turn on closed captioning. Again, 3 dots here. I've got some other options here within Google Meets. So let's say I come up here, I see who's in there. And if I click right here to the down arrow, I can hide participant here if I need to, or I can remove them. Before you leave the Google Meet, right now you do have to remove all of your students. If not, they will stay in the Google Meet and they can talk. And, so again, we're trying to make it safe and secure. So this is one thing with Google Meets that Google hasn't pushed out to us, to shut it down, the meeting room for all. Like with Zoom, I think many of you are using Zoom, that you can end the meeting for all, so everyone is out of the meeting when the host ends it. With Google Meets, that's not the case. So I'll show you this then. If I get out of the Google Meet here, and then that was the teacher view. If I go back to the student view, the student is still in the Meet. It shows that the teacher's left, and if there's other kids here, then they could still chat and talk without the teacher. So you want to remove the kids before you leave the Google Meet if you end up using Google Meet. But again, you've got the link there. It's much easier to use this link from your Google Classroom instead of, putting the link here, remembering to put the link there every day before your class. All right, any questions so far on Stream?
Lisa, my students were complaining about how their Stream, there's so many notifications that their inbox gets just clogged with things. What do you recommend as far as us being able to tell them that they have an assignment besides, hey, you have an assignment? Because I suggested they go to the classwork tab and they want to just scroll through the Stream, and that just makes no sense to me.
Okay,
and it goes on and on.
Yeah, Lord, I'm the same way. Again, it's the differentiation. People think differently. So you have those options. So when you say their inbox, they complain their inbox gets full. Are you talking about their inbox here in Stream?
Some of them have it set up so they're also getting a email.
Okay, yeah, so that's what I didn't know. Yeah, and yes. They can go and turn those on and off. So again, it's about you understanding it so then you can teach that to your students. So again, depending on what you have turned on based off of your settings, they'll get used to one way to check. So what I have found with Google Classroom, especially in the middle school and high school with them having multiple teachers, kids will come back and say, well, it wasn't in Stream, so I didn't know I had work, because that's how they checked their work from Stream. They didn't know to go to classwork, which hopefully over time they will know that they can check classwork to see what's due there. But they've got it in Stream, or like Laura was saying, they have it in their email. So again, I can't stress enough, once you understand this better and what works best for you, make sure you convey to your students of where they need to go to access the material. So they can even access what's due from Google Calendar too, and I will show you that as well. It can be overwhelming here in the beginning. I know it was for me, maybe it's not for you, but there's just a lot to remember and know. And, again, hopefully, on this journey here with Google Classroom, and as more teachers are using it next year, kids might say, oh, so-and-so does it this way, I like this way, and then maybe you might have to have that conversation with that teacher to see how they've got their Google Classroom set up, to see if that would help you and your students better. But to go back to Laura's question then, so again, in the gear and the Stream, you can hide the notifications if you don't want the kids to get used to checking what the teachers assign, what you have assigned. They could, like she said, let me go back to Blake's. They get emails, and they may get tons of emails. So if I go into Blake's email, it'll show a bunch of emails. Here's, Lisa Schwartz, the class he's in, all of these assignments. And yes, that can get overwhelming. He has the option of changing notifications himself for each class. How does he do that? Come over here to the 3 lines and go down here to settings. So right here, I went ahead and turned off the email notifications yesterday and for Blake's email. But if he has it turned on, or if your students have it turned on, then they can choose what they get notified and emails for. Do they want email notifications for when people comment on post, comments that mention you, private comments on work? So if you want some email notifications, come over here, turn it on, and then see which ones you want. But again, as you can see in Blake's, it can get overwhelming, especially, if they are assigned to 6 to 8 different teachers with Google Classroom. Could you imagine? For me, that's overwhelming. But again, everyone's different. Maybe they can get through all of that. So again, that was under the hamburger, the 3 lines or the hamburger here, and you got some settings to change for the email notifications here. Here, I can turn email and mobile notifications on or off for a class. So click on this arrow here. And so he's in 2 classes. If he doesn't want it from 1 class, he can turn this on and off right here as well. So he won't get notified on his phone. So you as the teacher, you have the same thing. So if I go back to the teacher page, come up here to the 3 lines and go to settings, email notifications. If I don't want to get notifications of all of the student work, I can just turn this off. If I want to get notifications for certain things, I can turn that on. Again, you have that choice, and you know, you'll learn to see where you go to access this. I just got used to, I didn't like these email notifications in my email. I had enough email. So I turned it all off, and I just knew I got more comfortable in Google Classroom, and I just checked there for late submissions. I checked for, you know, their work there. I would always tell a kid if I did give them options to redo an assignment, I would just let them know, hey, you know, if you're needing that graded sooner than later, you know, to have a conversation with me so that I can look at it then. Because sometimes when I allow the students to resubmit the work, I didn't maybe look at it until on, you know, Friday, so that that gave them, you know, if they needed it sooner for eligibility for sports or whatever it may be, then I wanted them to have a conversation with me. Yeah, I saw it there, but maybe I didn't always go and do it right then and there. So Laura, does that kind of help with your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Great question. Thanks for asking. So Linda's asking a great question here. Show again how you got the info who turned in assignments from the streaming page. I don't usually, oh, so what I did there, I went to classwork on the stream where I put hide notifications. If I put show attachments and details, I think, Linda, that's what you're talking about. If not, please feel free to unmute yourself. That's where I can see who turned in and assigned. Can I see that in other places? I can, so that, again, I just got used to not having the on my stream, I got used to not having the, what was it called again? Show the attachments and details. But that's how you do that. I think that's what you were asking. If not, feel free to unmute yourself and clarify.
Yes, that was it. Thank you very much.
Okay, yep, you're welcome. Thank you. So then now classwork here. So we'll move on to that tab. And here on classwork right here, here's where I can create assignments by clicking on this, and we'll get into that. But before we do, I want to show you here at Google Meet. I can go to Google Meet right here as well. I can go to Google Calendar here and Class Drive folder. What's nice about this is that Google Calendar and a Drive folder is created on the back end. I didn't have to touch that. Google, as soon as I created my class, Google created that for me. So what do I mean by that? I can go to my calendar right here by clicking calendar. And then if you look over here on my left-hand side, you can see all of my calendars here. If this is too much for students, all they have to do is click check mark any of the calendars they don't want to see on their calendar. So if they want to see what's due in science, they can just come over here to the science classroom, click on science, and see what's there. If they want to see what's there for, here's the differentiation workshop. So here's another visual way they can see what's due. Now this came up yesterday. I had a question myself, and I didn't take time to look this up, but I wanted to know why and I'm trying to think here. I wanted to know why this assignment is, you know, a full color here, and it's purple. It's just the purple color. If I want to change it, I can come over here to the 3 dots and change it. And then this one's just a dot, and it's got 11:58 p.m. So maybe that is, I'm trying to think, did I put a time for that assignment that they needed to turn it in by? So maybe that's why. The ones that I didn't put a time, okay, I think I just figured out my own question. Right here, the ones that are just the block with no time, I didn't add the time that it's due. I just put the due date. Here, I added a time that it was due. So as you can see, you know, I don't know everything, and it took me a while to figure out that question that I came up with. So, you know, I could have Googled it or asked another teacher, or sometimes even asked the students. But if they want to pull up all of their classes and see what's due, they can do that. And then if there's anything due, it would show up on the due date. And then they could, then if they click on this assignment, they could, then it's a link to the assignment detail for them that they could access it. So that's yet another way. So that's why I personally don't like to put the full notification there in stream. But again, it's the differentiation, teaching the kids these are different ways you can access it. For especially the visual learners, you know, here's a way that they can access the assignments. So again, this is an app, the calendar app in Google, but on the back end, I didn't create these classes in a class calendar. It created it as soon as I created the classroom. So go and check that out if you haven't checked that out before. Also, I've got 3 dots here. And here, if I want to change the color of the class, I can here. I can go to settings and sharing. I don't know if District 87 will allow you to export the calendar or to make it public, but this is another way. If you want to share with your parents of what, you know, their children are doing in class, you could share. Again, I don't know District 87's policy about making this calendar available to public, but that could be an option as well. And you can even add other people here to your calendar within your District 87 domain. So again, where did I go to all of this? It was the 3 dots under the calendar. It gave me settings. So again, anytime you see those 3 dots, look at, I've got the 3 lines up here. The 3 lines just opens up that menu right there. Do I have to have that menu open? I don't. I can just create something from here and go from there, and I can create some a task or an event for the day. Or if I like to keep that open, I can keep that open. Again, here's a gear for the calendar. There's different ways. So a kid might be overwhelmed to see the entire month. So they could look at it at the week view and see what's due 1 week at a time as well. So lots of different ways to do this. It'll just take time for you and your students to understand and learn about all of these different applications that are integrated with each other. So besides the calendar here, then the class drive folder, I can go to my drive from here, and I can go to the folder from here. Do I have to? I don't. I can, again, create a new tab here and go to drive.google.com, come over here and go to my drive. I will tell you, I keep my drive open all day long usually because I'm accessing it for a lot of things. So what I've done, I've got my drive over here. If you see some of my tabs up here, they don't have the names on them. So how did I do that? All I had to do was right click on the tab and pinned it. What does pinning allow me to do? I can't accidentally go up here and close these tabs. Could I accidentally close this tab? I could by hitting the X. If I wanted to open this back up, I can unpin it and I can close it there, or I can right click and close it. So again, right clicking on these tabs, you have some other options. And I could go to my tab, or I could go to my drive different ways. But here within Classroom, if I click on this class drive folder, it brings up here. So the path that this is in, it's in my drive, and think of your drive as a file cabinet. There's a Classroom folder that I didn't create, Google created for me based off of the application, the app, the Classroom app. And within Classroom, I have a folder for all of my classes. Differentiation workshop class. Within that, here are all of the assignments I have out there. And these are the, I have a folder for each one. And within that folder has the students' work. Now, could you look at the students' work from the drive? You can. I don't think I did once. I always just looked at the students from Google Classroom, but just know on the back end, it's all here, it's all saved. I know some teachers had been having kids share things with them instead of using Classroom. And then once they learned about Classroom, they loved it because they said their drive got to be a hot mess because of everything being shared with them when they turned it in. So to give you a little bit better understanding of Classroom, if you look at these folders here, again, they're a shared folder because the students' work will go in there. And this was all created on the back end when I created the Google Class. You can create a new folder in here. And to create a new folder, you can right click here if you want. You can even, as you can see, you have all of these options here. I could even come up here and hit new folder and same options, just again, multiple ways to do the same thing. What I did here was I created a folder called Archived Classes. So all I did, right click, hit new folder, typed in Archived Classes and create. So at the end of each year, what you will want to do is archive your classes. That doesn't delete them. That just archives them so then you can reuse the post in the future or for next school year. And so then with the archived class, so I archived my Intro to Computer Science here. And once I created the folder, I could just drag and drop that folder into that other folder. So as you can see, you can have other folders within the Classroom folder, within that folder in your drive. So it's again, what you get used to. If you look at my drive right now, and I can come up here to go back to my home page of my drive. I've got my quick access here. These are the things that I've worked on here most recently. And I've got folders within my drive. Some people think that is way too many folders. Some people, again, it's your choice and it's okay. However you've got it set up, it is okay. Some people might not have any folders and they just have all their files here and their drive could be a hot mess. That is perfectly fine because Google allows you to just come up here and click this arrow and you can search within your drive. You might say, okay, that lady that did that Google Classroom workshop, she shared a presentation with us. I can't remember her name. I can put not owned by me. I can maybe put the item name. It was maybe something with Google Classroom. And then if I wanted, if I didn't know the exact item name, I could put it maybe has the words here and hit search. So then right here, when I hit search, it will search my whole entire drive. Again, some people are okay with doing this and some people aren't. So you can see everything out there, all of these slide decks I have out there with Google Classroom that has it in it. If I want, I can just click off of that and just go back here to Drive, and I go back to my drive. Some people like to be organized and have it all in different folders, folders within folders. It's whatever floats your boat. Hopefully you will accept everyone's differences. So anything you don't have in a folder, it'll just be in files underneath. And you can always organize those files within your drive as well. If you're wanting to know more about Google Drive, if you check out my YouTube channel, I did a workshop about Google Drive and Docs that you could just watch that jump to that part. I do want to show you, if you are looking at whether going back to this video that I will upload later or another one, if you do look at it from the YouTube channel. Okay, so here's the Google Drive and Docs one. Once you go and play it, I'm not going to play it, I just want to show you something. You can have a transcript off to the side that, again, it's the differentiation, it's how you best learn.
Drive. You might also want.
Okay, so if I come down here, so this is a video. If I come down here and I go to open transcript, and I think my internet is going way too slow. Okay, right here off to the side, it's got the transcript of the workshop, so you can kind of skip to where you want to go within that YouTube video. So again, with the YouTube video, I haven't been big on recording sessions before, but during this time of remote learning, I've been working with hundreds of teachers that they may have little kids or adult kids, whatever it may be, other people in their house, and they may get distracted. So they wanted access to go back to it later. So that's one way how you can get away from watching the entire video and just maybe going to different parts of the video by looking at the transcript to the right. So again, with Drive, on the back end, as you saw, that you could access all of, see all of your students' work here in Drive. And I could go to my Drive and click on it from here, or I can click on it from the classwork page. So then if I come up here to create, now I work with some teachers who want to create their topics. They know exactly how they want their classroom to be. Again, that is okay. If you don't know exactly all the topics you want in your classroom, that's fine. You can add it as you go. So right here, you can see the topics I have. Some people will put it by chapter. Some people will put it by subject. For high school, with you maybe teaching multiple classes of the same subject here, your topics might be based off of, whether it's a chapter or if it's the units or whatever it may be. Some people also put the date and arrange it by the date. Some people put numbers to help you and the students keep track of what's been assigned. So if they know that they're yesterday they looked at number 10, maybe the next assignment, will be number 11. It's what you get used to and comfortable, but again, convey that to your students. So a couple different ways to maneuver around here. I can scroll, and as you can see, for me, this scrolling part, this is, if I have a lot of assignments here, it's a lot of scrolling, and it could be overwhelming. So that's why some students will go to the calendar to just get a picture view week by week or by month to see what's due, and then they can click on that to go to the assignment. If not, if they just go to the assignment, the farm assignment, they can see right here that, okay, here's the assignment that the teacher posted. Here's all of the files in that assignment that you need to interact with for that assignment. And then on the teacher view, you see what's turned in and what's assigned. So when I just click on topic here, it just shows me everything under the farm topic. It doesn't show me all the topics. So if I want to, I can go back to the all topics and see everything. On the teacher side here, again, don't forget there's 3 dots. The 3 dots, you can maneuver. You can edit your assignment, delete it. You can even move this down or up within this. You can even move this assignment to a different topic from here. So I can drag and drop it as well, or I can go and edit it and put it under a different topic. So how do we assign things? If you go up here to create, and you can see I've got these different options here. I'll just go ahead and start with creating an assignment. So anytime you create an assignment, you have to give it a title. And the title, again, it can be the assignment name, chapter, pages, whatever, again, however you assign and give titles is up to you. So let's say we are going to, this is, let's say it's a geography lesson about lakes. I'll just put world lakes here. Instructions, I could put instructions here. I don't have to because the instructions might be on the assignment, but sometimes what I found, if all I would have to do is copy and paste the instructions, I would just put them here to have multiple places then for the instructions, and maybe kids would get used to looking at instructions here, or they could see them here as well without opening up the assignment. So then all they would have to do is come down here and hit add. So whatever you wanted to put in this assignment for the students, just click on add. You can pull it from your Google Drive, from a link that you have of it, from a file, or even a YouTube video. So let me show you from Google Drive. So let's say I want to give the kids this slide deck that I'm using today. I want them to have access to it. Just click on it. It highlights it here and hit add. So once I add this, I have 3 options here with this drop down. So with this, it shows it's a Google Slides. It gives it the title. If I want to, I can have the students just view the file. If I want the students to edit the file, means they can delete, add things to it, I put that edit file. Or if I want to make a copy for each student that it's their own copy, they can edit it however they want, and it doesn't affect everyone else's. So well, I'll go ahead and put make a copy for each student. At any time, if I click this X, it takes it away. So if I realize later I don't want this on there, I can change it. One thing with making a copy for each student, if I do decide that and I assign this to the students, this is one thing right here you cannot go back in and change once you've assigned this to the students. So let's say I've assigned this to the students and I thought, oh, I don't want to make a copy for each student. I want them to just view the file. I would just have to delete the assignment and then create a new one. So no harm done. You just can't go in and edit this after you pushed it out to assign it, because what it's done on the back end, Google has created make a copy for each student, and you'll see what that looks like when I switch over to the student view here in a second. I can come up here to add.
Here, please.
Oh, what, Linda? Say it again.
Is this, like, if I have a paper that I have, like a fill in the blank paper that I have scanned in, and I want the kiddos to be able to fill in the blank, that's part of the assignment, fill in the blank and return it. Is this how you do that? Make a copy for each student so they can each fill it in?
Yes. But then if it's, if it's a scanned document, like it's a PDF, they may have to have the CAMI extension or some other software to be able to manipulate something that was scanned in. So you might want to either turn that into, if you can copy and paste it, to either a Google form or into Google Docs as well. But if not, yes, they could be able to, it would create their name and the title of that for them to complete the assignment. I was just trying to see if I could find a PDF to show you here. I don't know what this is, but it's a CAMI. Oh, I don't. I'll put this PDF in and show you. So if I put down, make a copy, I'll show you what happens with that then.
Okay.
So good question, Linda. And I'll show you on the student side here. If I wanted to add a YouTube video here, I can just click on add YouTube. If I don't have the URL, again, the URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. It's just basically, it's the web address for that file. I could just go to the video search, and let's say I'll just put in Jerry Brooks here because I know that'll be safe for searching for videos. If I want any video here of his, I just have to click on it and hit add. It adds the YouTube video. What's nice about adding YouTube videos, whether it's to Classroom or some of the other applications within Google, it doesn't show ads and it doesn't play other videos at the end. So here it shows the title of the video, it's a YouTube video, and shows you how long it is. Again, at any time, I can click the X there to get that off of there. Let me put in one other assignment here. All right, so here's a document on the Google Classroom end of the year closeout. Do you see right here? I can't assign this to the students because I haven't made a copy of it. It's got to be from my drive. This was shared with me from someone, from a participant in a workshop that she liked. Again, there's all kinds of things out on the internet that you can find to learn about this. But again, sometimes it's just nice to have a human interaction with you walking through some of this. So what I have to do with this, I'll just close out of that and I'll go back here and add something that I've made a copy. But this assignment, even though this is from someone else, as long as I know who this is from, and I give, that person's given me attribution rights to share it with other teachers, then I could make a copy of it and share it with you guys. I just can't say that I created it. I just give credit to where credit's due. Okay, I'll just put this animal farm lesson here. And I'll put students can view file, so then you can kind of see the difference. So then once I've got this, if you see here, so that was under add. If I look at create, if I want the kids to create something for sure, I want them to create a slide deck, I could hit create slides and it'll create this for them. And I can give it a name if I wanted to, but it's just called Untitled Presentation. But it opens up so that I can give it a name. So then when kids are completing it, then when they open it, it'll have that name to it as well. So I'm just going to put today's date. Whoops. Sample. So then you can see that it should update here momentarily. If it doesn't update, I'll come up here to hit the refresh button. Oh, it took me out of that. So right here, World Lakes, even though I didn't save it as a draft, it saved it for me. I can go back and edit assignment, and then voila, it's got my sample there. So I've got a few things, students can view file. Here I'm going to put students can edit file so you can see what that's like. Then what I can do over here, again, if this is just one class I want to push this assignment out to, I can. And then I can select the differentiation. That's the class I'm in, so that's always the default. And then I can choose the students I want this to go to. Now watch this. When I select two classes, do you see how the all students is grayed out? When I select more than one class, I can't choose what students to go to. So the workaround for that is Google's allowed this reuse post. So let's say I created this for my differentiation workshop, but I'm just choosing one class at a time because I need to only push this out to certain students. What I could do, I could go and reuse post and add this to the other classes I need to add it to, instead of me going through this whole process of adding all of these documents into this one assignment. So again, this is one way, if you have several different files to share with the students based off of this one assignment, here's one way it is organized for you. You don't have to send them a bunch of links, put it in a Google Docs, and for them to open up that to get to the different assignments. Then over here, I can put the points. I will tell you, for some reason, back on the old way of Google Classroom, I would always forget to change the points. Don't panic. Most of these things you can go back in and change even after you've assigned it, even after the kids have been working in it. The due date, what I have found, if I didn't put a due date, the kids wouldn't do it at all. So if I didn't know for sure, you know, when we were in the classroom, how many days it would take them to work on it, I would always put it sooner than later. So let's say, you know, today's Friday. Let's say I'm going to give them 2 days to work on it. I'll have it be due on the 27th. Well, when it comes to the 27th, if I see the students were using class time, they needed more time. Again, I could always go back in and change that due date. Here I can put the time if I want. If not, just X out of it. And you don't have to put the time. Topic here again, if it's under a certain topic that I want. So I don't have geography on here, so I can click on create topic and type on geography. I can also add a rubric and originality reports. If I have time, I will show you that here in a little bit here. And then up here, I can assign it. If I'm ready to assign it right now, I can. If I know that I want to schedule this, let's say, you know, when we get back into the classroom and I know I'm going to be out and I want to have this all ready to go, I can schedule it for a certain time and date by just clicking schedule. And then I can add that and change that. I could also save it as a draft. So again, it's there, but it's not pushed out to the students yet, or I can push out to assign. Now, right now I've just selected one class. Look what happens when I select 2 classes. So come up here to the arrow. What's different when I selected 2 classes? Do you see how the word schedule is grayed out? I don't have that as a choice. So when I do assign this to multiple classes, I can't schedule it. So right now, Google hasn't come up with a program on the back end that you can assign it to multiple classes and then schedule it out to multiple classes. Will they someday? Again, based off of feedback from teachers, they will make changes. So if that's something that you want, I would suggest that multiple people let Google know that you would like to be able to schedule several different classes at different times. So then I'm just going to go back and just put it to this classroom here. And then I'm just going to push out to assign. So now I'm going to switch over to the student view here. So I'm just going to go back to Blake's account here. And I'm in his classroom. And right here, I can hit classes and go to the home page there. I could come down here and go to the class that I want. So here's the class. I think, as you can see, nothing came up here in the stream because I guess I must have turned that the notifications off. So go to classwork. And again, the student could go down did I do something wrong? Saved. Was this the differentiation workshop? I assigned it. Oh, and I froze up. Did I hit assign? I guess I didn't. Students will see the assignment in their streams immediately. Hit assign. I'm wondering if I need to switch over to my hotspot. I might switch over here. We'll try that. Okay, we'll see if that gets better here. So then if I go back to my student view here, Okay, so the geography topic's there right now. So again, it's at the bottom. Could I jump to it right here? If I knew what the teacher was assigning, I could also go to my Google Calendar to see new assignments out there. And so here's the student view of the student calendar. And as you can see, the student can see what's been assigned and when it's due. So the assignment World Lakes. If you for sure want the students to know about it right now, you might, bring their attention to it. So if I go back here to stream, so do you see which notification I have on in stream? I have to show the assignments and the details, the attachments and details. So there's all the attachments. The student could go to stream and click on it from here if they wanted to. If not, they could go to classwork. So are you kind of seeing, like the student side of it, what works better for you? Are you liking the stream? That, okay, I know the teacher posted this, I know to take a look at it? Or do you like the classwork, that I would just kind of scroll through here and look at the due date and look at the topics? So pros and cons, and it just depends what works better for you and your brain. So then on the student side of it, then if they go to the World Lakes assignment, they can view assignment from here as well. And this shows everything there is. Now, you might ask, anybody thinking, why are some assignments here? Why are some things showing up here? And why are some showing up here? Anybody know why? If you do, feel free to unmute yourself. It'll give me a break to get a drink here.
Is that the work that he has completed and turned in?
Almost. I like that idea here. You're on the right path, Linda. What this is, these were the two things I said, make a copy for the student. So they will show up here, and do you see the student just opened this up and it automatically gave it his name. So Blake has an assignment here that's a PDF, and he's got a Google Slides. So he can click on those and it put his name and put the title. Here are just documents or videos for the students to look at. So again, if Blake's having trouble, he could post a class comment right from here, from the assignment, to the whole class and saying, hey, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do on this. Again, it's if they feel comfortable doing that, they could post it to the comment or to the whole class if you turn that on. If not, they can right from here post a comment that goes right to you. It's a private comment. So anytime you see private comments, the student can do a private comment to the teacher can do a private comment to the student where no other students see. So that's the difference between the comments here. This is if you allow comments on the stream. If he posts something here, it will go to the stream. And then, maybe put a question there that he wants. And then let me go ahead and hit enter, and then we'll look at that here in a second. And it shows the time. So if I come up here, this made a copy for Blake. So Blake can open it. He can manipulate this any way he wants. This is his copy. So if he wanted to go in and delete anything, he's got permission to delete it. It won't affect anybody else's. It will just affect his, okay? Why? Because on the back end, you said it for Google to make a copy. When it makes a copy of a student work, it puts their name and their title here on the assignment. If I go back to the assignment, same thing with this PDF. And I think Linda was asking about the PDF. So here they can open with, and I'm sure your district's looking at what your district's looking at, some other digital tools to push out to you guys. So if they want to open this with Doc Hub, it's a PDF, sign and edit. You may not have that choice. And then sometimes what I usually use is Cami. And sometimes what I would do then is download it and then edit it through my Cami extension. Oh, I know why it's not showing up here. On the student account, I don't have the Cami extension. I think maybe on Lisa's student account I do, that I can maybe show that. But then for them to be able to then access that PDF, like Linda was asking, if you scanned in a worksheet or something, they would need to access it using another digital, whether it's another digital app or extension out there. And then another thing here, so these, I think I just put, well, these, did I put, could they edit this? Let me try. So here's another way teachers are putting all of the information in one area. This is a Google Doc. They created a lesson plan here of information, and they organized it. And then they put links in here for students to go to. So you could, you know, does this take a while to create? It does, but this was created by Christine and Jessica, and they share it out there with you. There's, if you're trying to find some resources out there, what I'm finding nowadays is a lot of people are sharing their resources with you for free. If you need some, you know, just Google it and check to see. I know with Christine and Jessica, they have right on their webpage that feel free to use it in your classroom, feel free to use it with other teachers, and, you know, share the wealth of information. Because I remember back in the day with, when I first started off teaching, sometimes other teachers weren't willing to share their lessons with me because it was their pride and joy. But nowadays it's changed so much that people are willing to share. So this one, I think, okay, this one was view only. Why did I know that? It says request edit access. So I can only view that. This Google Slides, oh, this is the one I put edit, that they could edit. So I didn't put make a copy. This was where they could edit. So they can, if they wanted to create another slide in here and create this assignment, they can do that. But it was just showing you what edit looks like versus what make a copy looks like. And then here's another thing. Do you have to have everything created on the back end? You don't. What is so awesome about technology is that students, you can give the students a choice. Again, it depends on what subject area you teach. But if you come over here to add or create, let's say the students want to create something new, you're giving them the choice. Hey, here's the assignment. You decide how you want to create it, maybe giving them a little bit of guidance. You know, if they're need to do a presentation, or they could do you know, an essay in Google Docs, whatever, you know, again, if you're giving them some choice, they can say, oh, I want to do a Google Drawings. So all they have to do is come up here to add or create and create a Google Drawings from here. If they already have it created in their Google Drive, they could add it here and it would be turned in under your work. So let me just go down here to add Google Drawings here. And so it's adding this assignment, and look what happened here. It put his name on it and the assignment name, World Lakes. Again, I didn't have to go up there and type that. And then the student then can access this Google Drawing, do the assignment here, and they can fill, color, whatever they need to do with the drawing. And I'll show you the reason why I just wanted to show you something here in drawings. So even though they haven't turned this in, let me go back to the teacher side of what you can see on the teacher side. So on the teacher side here, if I go to grades, how am I doing on time? Okay, I've got 20 minutes here. So if I want to go to World Lakes, this is the assignment that I was showing you with Lake. I can just click on this and see this has 3 attachments, this has 2 attachments. So usually there's a thumbnail view. Can you see, and I don't know if you can on your screen, but this kind of looks different than this one. That I can kind of just see. He hasn't turned this in, but I can see if he's started to work on it, or if he's, you know, doing anything, or maybe it gives me a chance to be able to email him, or put a comment over here and say, hey, I see that you've started on this, and just wondering if you have questions so that you can get it finished and turned in. I can put the private comments over here. So on the grading side of this, then I've got, here I'm in Blake's. This shows me that he's got these files attached to turn in when he does. Even though he hasn't turned them in, I can still go and see what he's worked on and done. Again, with this, here's that PDF here. If you see here, I do have the option to download here from the teacher side. Blake didn't, because I didn't have the Cami extension for him to use to be able to manipulate that PDF. So whatever extension that you for sure want them to use, it's, again, your district is being diligent about seeing what tools are out there that you and your students can use, and the safety of them, and what kind of data they collect. So again, I know they're gonna push those out, I think, here in the fall for you. And then also here, it shows me that Blake also created a Google Drawing, and I can see what he's worked on so far. So if I'm ready, I can give him a private comment here. Even though he hasn't turned it in, I could even put a grade there for him, even though he hasn't turned it in, and it says it's not returned, but again, he didn't press the turn in button. If you click on these 3 dots here, and let's say, oh, I put 10 points, I really need it to be 20 points, I can change the points here, and it will change for every single student within your Google Classroom for this assignment. So again, I will tell you, this is kind of a lot to take in. The more you experience with it and maneuver with your students, the easier it will get. It reminds me back to my first year of teaching, that I remember I had my lesson plans all ready for the whole, entire week. I was ready to go. And then day 1 came and day 1 went, and I had to change my whole lesson plans for the week. Things didn't go, I guess, not my entire lesson plans for every day, but some of them. And it just, there's how you have a mindset of how you think it should go and how it should be, and then it changes. Same thing here with Google Classroom, with you learning. The more you'll get to experience it, the more your brain will, help you know where to go. So,
Lisa, what did you do to change the point values? I was
great
changing
question.
something.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Thanks for asking. So what I did, I was into Blake's assignment here, and when I'm in the student's assignment here, I can come over here to see the different files that they've attached to it. And then right here, the 3 dots, I can change the total points right here. So when I change yeah, you're welcome. When I change the total points, it changes it for the whole assignment and for every single student. So if you see this arrow up here, I can switch to Lisa's assignments here. I can switch to the different students' assignments by clicking on this arrow here to see, okay, Lisa's got 2 things here. And again, I can add comments if I see, oh, she hasn't started on it. If I come over here and click this down arrow, I can sort this by who's turned in, who, it'll say it's been assigned, but they haven't turned in. I can sort it by first name, last name, or the status, and this is the status here. So if they've turned it in, it would show turned in. Right here, so if I grade a bunch, if I grade all of the classes, then I can return multiple of them at the same time, or I can return a submission at a time as I grade that. Again, it's up to you, and it's up to you maybe based on the assignments. So if it's an assignment that it's a worksheet and you don't want kids cheating and you've graded some of them, some teachers will hold off and return the assignments all at the end. So then going back here to this tab, I can, so see the student work here. It'll also be turned in, if there's any turned in, and the ones that are assigned. I can filter it here as well. So right here, I can have, I just want to see all of them that were turned in, or all of them that were assigned, and haven't been completed. I could also see the ones that are missing. So if I have students that haven't turned it in and it's past the due date, there'll be a place where I could just organize just the missing ones, and I could have conversations with the students or send them messages via Google Classroom. But as you can see, could I go to my Google Classroom folder to see all of this? I can. I have just gotten used to looking at everything using the Google Classroom app to grade and, you know, to look at the assignments. Do you have to? No. You know, if you like how the drive's set up and want to go to your Google Drive, you could do that. Also up here on this tab, I go to instructions here. I can see what was assigned, see class comments here as well. I can, you know, reply back to them. Again, click those three dots. I could delete it or I could mute him, because this is going back here, then it's attached to this assignment. Again,
Do
if
the
I,
students, oh, sorry.
no, go for it. What's your
Do
question?
the students have the same option of seeing what's assigned and what's been turned in on their view?
Yeah, great question. So here's Blake's, the student view. I'm just going to go ahead and hit turn in so you can see what that looks like. It's saying, when I hit the turn in button, it's saying, hey, turn in your work. You've got 3 attachments, and hit turn in. Let's say he turns it in and thinks, oh my, I forgot I needed to go back and do something. He can hit unsubmit and go back and do what he needs to. If he sometimes clicks on it, sometimes it will say that he doesn't have access to it, because when you turn it in, the teacher will have access to it. And then right now it's just saying view only, because Blake's not the owner anymore. So he would, instead of him requesting edit access, he just needs to unsubmit it right here. The reason why you are the owner once they turn it in is so that you don't go insane. What do I mean by that? Sometimes, you know, I'd have kids say, well, I turned that in. I think, oh, did I lose it or something? But with technology, you don't have that problem, because they can't go back and make changes to an assignment once they press the turn in button. So let's say, you know, they turn something in and you've graded it. And then could you imagine if they had rights to edit it while it was turned in, and you return it and they say, well, why did I only get a 10 out of 14 on this assignment? And you'll think to yourself, well, I don't know, I must have made a mistake. So that is the thinking and the reasoning behind that. You are the owner of it. Once they turn it in, you can grade it, and then make sure you return it to them, so then they have access to it later. So that's the reasoning. Again, if you don't understand it, it'll make sense when that's happening all the time in the classroom. But to go back to Linda's question here, Linda, you're wanting to know then if they can see what's turned in, what's not. So do you see up here in this back arrow, usually within, you know, when you hit back, it'll go back to the website that you were previously on. If you click on that back arrow, if you've never just held down your mouse and clicked on it, within Google Classroom, you can maneuver around Classroom. So if I want to go back to this assignment, if I want to go back to the stream, or if I want to go to the classwork tab, I can go there. So it doesn't matter. I'll just click on this one and it takes me, oh, it took me here. I thought I clicked on classwork, but anyway, it took me here then to classwork. And for the student then, what the student can see, it shows turned in here. They can go back and view assignment, but remember, since they've turned it in, they can't go back and edit it. So if they need to go back and edit it, hit unsubmit. Another place they can go, if they click on these 3 lines, they can go to do. And right here, this will show them what is to do. This is what's missing. And then right here, done, here's what they've turned in.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And you know what, I'm thinking there's another place for this, but let me switch to Lisa, and I will go to her classroom here. So this is another student here. It's just my personal account. And you see, even in my personal account, I'm a member. I've got some classes that I'm the student. Well, I guess all of these classes I'm students of. But let me just go to the differentiation workshop here. I want to see. Okay, it's not showing what I wanted. Okay, let me just go back to the teacher view here. Let me go back to the grades. So another place you can see all of the grades and everything here is right here. When I click on grades, I can see if it's turned in, if I've graded it, if it's missing. Again, here's the percentage, because right now I have it set up for the overall grade to be percentage. If I wanted to, I can click on this to go into the assignment to see. And again, sometimes the thumbnail, what I loved about this view was I could see, you know, if the students are working on the assignment, how far they've gotten. Because I will tell you, in the beginning, sometimes students would have the work done, they just forgot to turn it in. So I can kind of check here to see, you know, and let them know, hey, get that turned in if you want to get your grade for that. Or I can see, oh, Blake hasn't done this, and maybe see if he's got questions about, you know, the assignment. So this is awesome, especially during the time of remote learning, that you can see what they've done. Did I use that in the classroom? I did, because sometimes, you know, during 45-minute class period and having 30+ students, you didn't always get around to have a conversation with each student, or at least I didn't. Maybe you do, and kudos to you. Up here, what I can do then, I can click on this for all students. If they've turned it in, I can return all of them too. So I can return it here, I can return it over there in grades. Again, some people get overwhelmed with this because there's so many places you can do the same thing. You'll just get in the pattern of doing it the way you've learned, probably starting off here in the beginning. Again, right here, I can change the points right here as well. If I go back here to instructions, I can see the assignment here. If I've tied a rubric to that, do I have time? Okay. If I've tied a rubric to an assignment, the student can pull this up and see. And with the rubric here, I can have it, I can decide to put how many points I want in there. So this one I made worth 7 points here, and then I can put some, you know, detailed instructions down here of how they can get those points. Here, for this assignment, this was them creating or going through a tutorial in Scratch. And I just wanted them to add a minimum of 3 sprites. Hey, if they had the 3 sprites, they got 3 points. If they only had 2, they got 2 points. If they only had 1 point. Would it be most efficient if I explained that to them? You know, hey, 3 points, you had at least, you know, 3 or more sprites. And sprites are just the characters in Scratch. But I did this for a reason, just to show you that, you know, you can leave it blank, that you don't have to put in detailed information in the rubric. So let me go back here to the rubric part of an assignment to walk you through that a little bit. Here under create, so I go to assignment and I'll create a rubric, but before I do that, as you can see, I've got some other options here. The reuse post, this is big. I can reuse a post from any of my archived classes. I didn't delete the class, I just archived it. It just gets it off of my home page of my Google Classroom. Then, if there's another class that's currently active, I can reuse a post from any of those classes. And I can click on it, and when I click on it, then I hit reuse, and it brings up the assignment back there as well. But let me go down here to rubric and show you. So in this assignment, let me go to view assignment. So here's the assignment for the students. It's showing that it's missing. They're past the due date. Even though Blake got a 4 out of 15, here it shows you that I put a private comment there. Only Blake sees that. But it shows it's missing whether, so with Blake here, he turned it in, and I might have put down, hey, go back and finish your work and then turn it back in. But until he does so, it's going to show missing. I did allow students to turn things back in. If it was sometimes, it just gave the students, you know, more accountability. If it was something that it wasn't easy to cheat on and get the answers from somebody else, because one thing I did find with middle school and even some high school students, they will press the turn in button. So it's off of their to-do list and it shows that they've got it done, and they might not have even started on it. But sometimes kids figured out, hey, Mrs. Schwartz, I'm done with all my work. I've turned everything in. I'll say, okay, that's great. I would come back here and take a look at the thumbnail view. If not, I could click on it to see the entire document. And I'll say, oh, Blake, you haven't even started. Let's, you know, how can we help you? Let's get you started. So with this assignment, I've got a rubric attached to it. So I'm actually going to get out of this and go back so you can see what the rubric looks like in when I assign it. So if I go to create and hit assignment, do you see rubric? I can't add a rubric to it until I put a title. So once I've got a title there, then I can come down here and rubric, then I can click on it. I can create a rubric. I can reuse a rubric. So if I want to just reuse a rubric right now, here's the different rubrics I have out there. Let me just use this math example one. So then I click on here and here's the math example one. You know what, let me go. I'll click off of that, delete this rubric, yeah. If I go there, let me create a rubric just to show you real quick. So what this allows you to do, you can decide how many points it is, and you can have different criterion for here. So I can decide how many points, whether it's, you know, if I want to start with 10, 3, whatever, give it a title and put a description. Then I can add several different criterion. So, you know, if I did put a 10 here and I, you know, put a title and description, and I want to just hit the plus sign here, and I want to put 5 points, put a plus sign here, maybe 1 point, and then put the title and description. If you see I have the plus sign here, I can add a level to the left. So if I wanted to decide to add 15 points, I can put 15 points there. And then again, whoops, I accidentally scrolled through the numbers there. Whoop. So it says I have 2-point values must be unique. And then so the kids will see this attached to their assignment. So if I go back here to this math module assignment, I went into the grading. So let me go into the student view of it. So I'll go to classwork, and it was the math module. So when the student views assignment, he can see, or she can see the points and see the rubric. So as they're completing the assignment, they can look here, hey, to get my full points for question 1, here's what I need to do. To get my full points for question 2, this is what I need to do. So since this was a math worksheet that they needed to solve some problems, it was just the same criterion for each section. And all I had to do was just then copy and paste it down. So I used that. If you see over here, here's 2 private comments. Again, this only went to the student. I could do the private comments from here or from when I'm grading it.
Is there a way to change the point value for work that is turned in past the due date?
Past the due date, yeah, this was past the due date here. Let's see, change total points. Hit change. Yeah, great question. We'll see if it changes. I've never tried that with this new one. Yep, and it changed it. So yeah, great question.
So that doesn't affect people students that turned it in on time.
No, you're exactly right. Great question.
Okay.
It is 11 o'clock. I do want to respect your time. Going back here to the slide deck, as you can see, I didn't get through everything. I did throw an extension that there is. I do realize District 87 hasn't pushed out any extensions for you yet. If they do sometime, you've got this here you can look at. And then here at slide 48, if you can look at that real quick. Again, here's the 2 evaluations. This one is about 3 questions here. And then this one is for District 87 to get your PD hours. If you could take time to complete those both. I appreciate you guys being here with me today. Have a happy and safe holiday weekend here, and feel free, if you'd like to stay on and talk with other teachers, you can, or I'll stay on for a little bit if you have questions for me. But again, within that 2 hours, we covered the most we could. Hopefully that, you know, answered some of your questions. Hopefully you do have more questions based off of what I've went through. But again, take a deep breath, and you will hopefully get better at this the more you interact with Google Classroom and interact with your students with Google Classroom. So thank you for being with us today. I am going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and stop the recording in case if anybody does want to ask some questions.